Okay. That should be, y'all can hear that now, I hope? Okay. The announcements. Welcome Jameson Peter Acuff Fleer, born March 10th, weighed 6 pounds, 13 ounces, to Jennifer and Justin Fleer. Proud grandparents are Don and Gail Fleer. We have received several notes of appreciation from members recently. These notes are posted on the bulletin board and in the mailbox room. There's a ladies' book club, March 19th, Thursday, a masterpiece by Frances Rivers, 6:30 p.m. And Francine Rivers, 6 p.m., green room. The game night is this Friday night, March the 20th. Game night for all ages in the green room and gym, and 6:30 Friday night. And if you're interested in the Easter events, coming up Easter events, you can check, they're listed in the church emails. So that will be on hand there if you would like to check that. So, okay. As we get started tonight then, yes, sir.
Please remember David and Jana Cook in your prayers. He had a medical procedure done today. He goes back tomorrow for more. So please remember him.
Dave Cook.
Remember 2 weeks ago I said
Yeah.
suffering from problems with his colon.
Yeah.
It's continuing.
Well, we've also had some good news, though, from Ralph Parsons. Ralph seems to be doing pretty good. He seems like he's coming through his surgery. So, Cook. David Cook. Matt, could you remember David Cook and lead us in an opening prayer?
Father, we thank you for this evening and we can come together. We're always grateful for Paul and his study and his preparation to encourage us in your word, and as we go through Psalms, we just learn about David, and mostly about David, his life, and his reliance on you, his dependence on you, Father, and may we reflect that in our own lives. Father, Joe mentioned David Cook. I pray that you be with him and his situation at this time. We've got others that are sick and not doing well, maybe not doing well spiritually. They just need support. And each of us know people that we can bring to you, Father, at different times in our day and in our time, Father, in prayer. So I pray that we will continue to bring people to you that need that support and help, Father. We thank you for our opportunities to come here and be with each other and encourage each other as Christians do, Father. And I pray that you bless each of us. Bless Paul tonight. Help us to learn something from him. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you. Y'all come on in. Good to have you tonight. Okay. We're starting, as you can see, in Psalm 64. David's Psalm, a plea for deliverance, it's called. So, hear my voice, O God, in my complaint. Preserve my life from dread of the enemy. But God shoots his arrows at them, and they are wounded suddenly. They are brought to ruin with their own tongues turned against them. All who see them will wag their heads. That seems to be kind of a thing back then. You know, they'd go, maybe we even do that today, or, you know, too bad, whatever. So again, he's exalting the fact that God is going to take care of his enemies one way or the other, shoot his arrows at them. Then all mankind fears. They tell what God has brought about and ponder what he has done. I do think that's true. I mean, when we think about it, there are often things that happen when people wonder about things that are greater than them. This is when things like this happen. This is the way God tells us that we are small, and that there are things out there greater than us that we need to depend on him. Let the righteous one rejoice in the Lord and take refuge in him. Let all the upright in heart exult. Another Psalm of David, this one praising the power of God. Praise is due you, O God, in Zion, and to you shall vows be performed. O you who hear prayer, to you shall all flesh come. One of the names of God is interesting. It's El Roi. It means the God who hears, or the God who listens. And that name was given to him by Hagar when she was praying. Remember, she ran, left and was in the desert and was bad off and prayed to God, and God sent water to her and help. And she said, "God, here." She called the place, "Here's where God heard me." So, God hears. He hears prayer. When iniquities prevail against me, you atone for our transgressions. Blessed is the one you choose and bring near to dwell in your courts. We shall be satisfied with the goodness of your house, the holiness of your temple. And that's why I have that picture there, that we can imagine what it must have been like to be able to approach the temple of God. Not go in, that's for the priests, but just to be on the outside and to see the magnificence of God's temple, especially later on, the temple of Solomon. By awesome deeds you answer us with righteousness, O God, our salvation. The hope of all ends of the earth and the farthest seas. The one who by his strength established mountains, being girded with might, who stills the roaring seas, the roaring of their waves, the tumult of the peoples, so that those who dwell at the ends of the earth are in awe of your signs. You make the going out of the morning and the evening to shout for joy. So again, showing the universality of God. This was actually, in some ways, a difficult concept, it seems, for some of the Jews to grasp. And that God, this was really, in some ways, Jonah's problem, was it not? That God sent him to the Assyrians, and of course, we know that Jonah really didn't want to go. But the fact is, what God was trying to tell Jonah and to his own people is, the Assyrians may not know who I am, but I'm still their God. And, of course, Jonah tried to run away, and God said, "You can't run away from me." And one of the Psalms we'll see later, one of the most beautiful Psalms, he says, "I can't flee from you, God. There's nowhere I can go to get away from you." So this was the universality of God, the totality of God across all places, all countries, seas, worlds, continents, whatever, was a hard concept maybe for some people in that age to grasp. And the psalmist, I think, is really trying to put this in their minds. Yes.
Do you think Christians are that way today somewhat?
Some of them can be, yeah. I've heard, some Christians say, "Well, we're Christian, we follow Christ," but, they follow Buddha. Maybe Buddha can, there's a different way, or maybe something like that, and they don't seem to grasp the concept that when God says he's the only God, he means only, period. And yet, I think some people, because you're right, Thomas, that some people have a hard time accepting the exclusivity of God. That he says, "I am God, I am." and there is no other. Yeah, there is an issue with that among some people. It looks like that, seems like that is one of the western edges of Ireland. Yeah. There's a whole string of cliffs on the western side of Ireland facing the Atlantic Ocean. The Cliffs of Moher, I think they call them. You visit the earth and water it. You greatly enrich it. The river of God is full of water. You provide their grain, for so you have prepared it. In a dry and dusty land, we can understand that. Sharon and I were talking about we still need rain. So we are constantly asking God, send us water. And of course, even there, it was very important for their grain to grow. You water its furrows abundantly, setting its ridges, softening it with showers, and blessing its growth. You crown the year with your bounty. Your wagon tracks overflow with abundance. The pastures of the wilderness overflow. The hills gird themselves with joy. The meadows clothe themselves with flocks. The valley deck themselves with grain. They shout and sing together for joy. We have a song we sing about our nation, don't we? Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain. And if you ever want to go, up at the right time, drive through Kansas and Nebraska and see the just acres and thousands of acres of wheat, or even in the midsummer, go to Iowa and Illinois and just see corn and corn and corn and corn and corn. You can understand how many cornflakes we must eat. Of course, there are other things that corn is used for, but there's a lot of corn out there, and we need a lot of corn. Okay, Psalm 66, a psalm to the awesome God. Shout for joy to God, all the earth. Sing the glory of his name. Give to him glorious praise. Say to God, how awesome are your deeds. So great is your power, and that your enemies come cringing to you. All the earth worships you. Sing praises to you. They sing praises to your name. Come and see what God has done. He is awesome in his deeds towards the children of man. Awe. Sometimes I think we don't have enough awe when we come before God, that we should come before God with a sense of awe. And that he is an awe. He produces awe. He is awesome, meaning he produces awe for those who really know him. But does that bring up a song in your mind? Our God is an awesome God, right? He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. This was first printed in 1988, pretty recently, actually. Of course, I didn't put the whole thing up there. A lot of it's repeating, but it's a very rousing song. Very good. Our God is an awesome God. So, something that we really need to be bringing to mind constantly in our minds, keeping it in the back of our mind. Our God is an awesome God. He turned the sea into dry land. They passed through the river on foot. There did we rejoice in him. This brings up a statement here in Joshua 3:13. And when the soles of the feet of the priests bearing the ark of the Lord shall rest in the waters of the Jordan of the Jordan shall be cut off from flowing, and the waters coming down from above shall stand in one heap. Of course, this is the second time God did this. Remember, God also parted famously the Red Sea. And one of my favorite statements from a Jewish adage, which to me goes so beautifully with understanding what faith is. We were talking in Grandpa's group just yesterday. that faith is action. James drives that home in other places. But simply stated, the Jews have an adage that says, the Red Sea did not part until the first Jew put his foot in the water. And I think that's great when you think about that. Because God said, if you read that carefully, it's interesting. Moses says, stand still and see the salvation of God, and God comes back. What are you saying, Moses? If you want something, go forward. Don't just stand there. Go forward. And so when they did, and when they put their feet in the water, then the water parted. But they had to show action of faith. Faith is action. Faith is putting something into motion, moving forward. So they passed through the river on foot, and we did rejoice in him because they put their foot in the water and went forward. Who rules? God rules by his might forever, whose eyes keep watch on the nations. Let not the rebellious exalt themselves. One of my absolute favorite quotes from a poem by James Russell Lowell called The Present Crisis. Truth forever on the scaffold, wrong forever on the throne. But that scaffold sways the future. And behind the dim unknown standeth God within the shadows, keeping watch above his own. So God keeps his eyes on us, and he keeps his eyes on everything. Nothing out there is happening without his knowledge. So, yeah, there are wars and rumors of war, but we are to go about our lives as peacefully as possible and giving him praise for our blessings. Bless our God, O peoples, let the sound of his praise be heard, who has kept our soul among the living and has not let our feet slip. Yeah, I don't want to slip. I don't know about you. Don't let our feet slip, either physically or spiritually. For you, O God, have tested us. You have tried us as silver is tried. That's where faith comes in. We have trials, we face trials, and then we pass through those trials with faith in God. Psalms 66, 16 through 20. Come and hear, all you who fear God, and I will tell you what he has done for my soul. I cried to him with my mouth, and high praise was on my tongue. If I had cherished iniquity in my heart, the Lord would not have listened. But truly God has listened. He has attended to the voice of my prayer. Here again, the God who hears, the God who listens, and the God who answers. Blessed be God, because he has not rejected my prayer or removed his steadfast love from me. Psalm 67, a psalm of praise. May God be gracious. Now, this is going to sound very familiar. May God be gracious to us and bless us and make his face to shine upon us, that your way may be known on earth, your saving power among all nations. Let the peoples praise you, O God. Let all the peoples praise you. Now, this is a form of the more famous statement that comes from Numbers, back in Numbers, and 6:24. The Lord, this is one of the most beautiful of the Jewish blessings. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Well, they told me the sound was working. Well, I'm sorry. I had the technology again. It worked at home. The sound was beautiful. Okay, well, I even asked them back there would be sure the sound was working, but it didn't seem to be.
Always sing that song in chapel at Harding,
Yeah.
first chapel of the year and the last of the semester.
Yeah, it's always very moving. I don't know if there's anybody here who knows anything about making it work back there, but anyway, we tried. I had the Harding Choir singing it, and it's very moving. But maybe we can try it again later. Here's an Irish blessing. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of his hand. Since we've just been thinking about Irish things recently. Okay. Now I got something on the screen I don't know how to get rid of. Well, it's not stopping anything, so we'll go forward. Psalm 68, a psalm of David, a psalm of praise, Father of the fatherless, protector of widows, is God in his holy habitation. Exodus 22, parallel idea. God said here, you shall not mistreat any widow or fatherless child. If you do mistreat them, they will cry out to me, and I will surely hear their cry. And my wrath will burn, and I will kill you with the sword. The Old Testament, the Jewish laws, one of the things that really sets the Jewish laws, you can look at the laws of Hammurabi, and there are other ancient laws that various kings came up with, but none of them have a real social aspect. Most of it's like business law or trade law or dealing with their gods or whatever. God put a social aspect. There was the idea of not only do I have responsibility to God, but part of my responsibility to God is the way I treat my fellow man. That wonderful statement, love your neighbor as yourself. And God, says, do not mistreat any widow or fatherless child, because if you do, I'm listening. Here you go again. I'm listening. I'll hear them when they cry out, and I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to deal with that. Don't you do that. Don't you mistreat these people. And he goes on another social aspect. Remember what he said about the blind and the deaf? Anybody?
Don't cause them to stumble.
Yeah.
Make fun of them.
Yeah, that's right. Here's a blind man coming along, don't put your foot out there and tripping him and then laugh at him because he's blind. And just because a guy's deaf behind his back, don't, call him names or make, insult him or whatever. So, God was taking care of these people. He said, look, these people are not as blessed as you are. So you treat them nice because you are blessed. If you have eyes and you can hear and you can walk and whatever, you need to use your blessings to help these people and don't mistreat them. Again, because they're special to me and I'm watching out for them. So the Old Testament, the laws of the Jews, the Mosaic Law is much different than the other ancient laws because they have these social aspects. And there are many more of them that God takes, I just love it when he talks about how does he take care of the poor when you're planting your fields or your orchards? Remember?
The extra was left along the edges.
Yeah, you couldn't go all the way to the edge. You had to leave the edges. You had to round your fields so you could have the corners would be left for the poor. If you were harvesting and you had your bundle and you picked it up and some fell out, what happened? You couldn't pick it up. You had to leave that for the poor to glean. And if you had an orchard in there and the limb of your apple tree or whatever was hanging over or close to a path, a public path, you couldn't pick that. You had to allow the stranger to come along, and the stranger could have that. And you couldn't stop. You weren't supposed to stop it. That was for, God was showing them to share your bounty. I'm blessing you. I'm giving you all this. Share. Be willing to share all this. And we may not have that today. We may not have our farm today like this. I don't know how many are farmers here. But we have other blessings that we can share with. So God was trying to teach a social responsibility to his people to share their blessings. Okay, any questions or comments? The chariots of God are twice 10,000, thousands upon thousands. The Lord is among them. And we've talked about earlier about the famous thing with the chariots of God protecting Elisha. Our God is a God of salvation, and to God, the Lord, belong deliverances from death. Okay, here's your Hebrew lesson for tonight. In this one sentence, our God, El is the oldest term we find throughout the Mesopotamian area. I mean, it goes all the way back to the Sumerians, 3000 BC. The first written word, the cuneiform, the word they used for God was El. And it stays throughout all the history, the Babylonians, the Sumerians, the Assyrians, all the way down to the Jews and everybody else. El was just the generic, just like we say God. God is just the generic name, God. So that was El to them. Then his specific name, and to God, YHWH. Now, we hear people today, it will say Yahweh. Maybe more better Yahweh. The W has more maybe of a V sound to it. But that's only a guess. We're not sure that's how that was pronounced. We don't know how it's pronounced, actually. Because it was around, I'm trying to think here, it was around 350 or so. There was a man called a high priest of the Jews called Simon the Just. And according to Jewish history, he was the last high priest to pronounce the name of God as it was pronounced. And then after that, probably he didn't pass it on because he knew there was a guy going to follow him that was going to be kind of a heretic. And to have the name of God, can you understand, to have the name of God? When Moses goes and says to God, "What is your name?" God says about they used to call me El Shaddai, God of God, Almighty God, or they called me El Elyon. We talked about that, God Most High. That's what Melchizedek called him. And so there are other names, but God says, "This is my name." And that's when he says, "Don't use my name in vain." The word there is not meaning curse. It means to use it flippantly or extraneously or for no real purpose. Because he said, if you use my name, that's power. To have someone's name is power over them, is it not? Isn't that right, Matt? See, I can pick on Matt because I know his name. I used to do that to my students when I was talking about this. If I know your name in class, Jim, See, that gives me, doesn't it give me a certain power over you? Yeah, I can call on you. I can tell you to do something. I can ask you to do something. So if you have someone's name, the idea of the power of the name in the ancient world was immense. It was very important. And that's why God said to Moses, all right, I'm going to give you my name, but don't misuse it. Don't just use it for any old reason. When you call on me, I'm coming. Yes, sir.
And that's why often in the Old Testament it talks about the temple and the ark being the place where the name of God dwells.
Yeah, that's right.
His name.
His name. And that the high priest would go in there once a year and call God by name.
Just a little point of reference, a lot of the newer translations, I think we know this, but we easily forget. If you see a capital L and then smaller, but still capital O-R-D, then that's where in the Hebrew it was the Yahweh.
Yeah.
That particular translation didn't do it, but like the NIV and others, it will give capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D, but the O-R-D is smaller print than the other.
Okay.
And that's a way to know that in the Hebrew, it was the Yahweh.
Yeah. And then if you see sometimes Lord with just capital L and lowercase, then you have Adonai. And Adonai was a respectful term. It means Lord, as in my superior, boss maybe. But it was a respectful address to God. So what happens then is that Yahweh, the unspoken name of God, because the Jews really became fearful of misusing his name, they just didn't speak it. And only the high priest then, eventually, it seems only the high priest knew it. And the people then, when they wanted to refer to God, called him Adonai instead. So if you had the text in front of you and you came to that word Yahweh, you didn't say it. You said Adonai instead. So you didn't even read it out loud. You might think it in your head, but you didn't read it out loud. You would substitute Adonai at that place. But this is an interesting sentence because it has the ancient and then the powerful name of God, and then it has the substitute name for God, or the respectful address, Adonai, all in one spot here. Yeah.
I don't quite know how to word this, so you may have to figure out what I'm thinking. Okay, so today, okay, and since I taught 42 years, people were respectful to the name God. And then over time, thanks to Hollywood and music and everything, God became a byword or a
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, little g or whatever. Yeah. So, what's your thinking on people who misuse the word God, but it's not even reference, it's more the L than it is the Adonai.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where does it get disrespectful in there? Just because of the attitude?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think when we should still understand that when we speak of God, who we're talking about. And we should not use it flippantly. We should not use it disrespectfully. Well, yeah, because it is misused. We ought to be sure and not misuse it. Be an example.
And I tried to correct,
Yeah.
be corrected with it, but when I was referring to God, the Lord, big L, I would say Jehovah God, so they knew I was referencing the one true God.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah,
I mean, today it's just a mess.
it is. And you mentioned, Jehovah. Of course, now, let me go ahead and say this real quick. Elohim is another word that it's not here, but it's elsewhere. It's a lot in Genesis. You can see it begins with El. Elohim means God's, literally. Remember, I am on the end, im? And it's actually used in Genesis chapter 1 when God says, let us. And he seems like this seems to be the plural of majesty. Are you familiar with what I mean by the plural of majesty? That's how the Jews used it, saw it. No one. How does the King of England or the Queen of England speak when she says or he says something? Pardon? Yeah, we are not a. Queen Victoria was famous or infamous for that. They should say, "We are not amused." Well, it was called the royal we. See, the royal majesty, the plural of majesty. So that's why when people say, well, at different times, this is used to refer to God, Jehovah God. Now, you mentioned Jehovah God. I don't know if you all remember this, but when they came to the King James Bible and they came to this word, they thought, well, what are we going to use here? So they actually, some of their scholars went and talked to some Jewish scholars, and they said, well, what is this word? They said, we don't know. We don't know how to pronounce it. And if we did, we wouldn't tell you anyway. So they said, well, what do y'all do here? They said, well, we use Adonai. We use it respectfully. We call him Adonai. So the translators of the King James Bible took the term YHWH, and if you put A-O-A in there, Y-A-H-A-W, what do you have? You have, to anglicize it a little bit, you have Jehovah. So that's how Jehovah came about. It's a translator's new word. They wanted something to call God that wasn't just whatever, so they came up with Jehovah, which is a mixture of Yahweh and Adonai. It's a hybrid. What does God think about it? I guess it's man's best effort to come up with something respectful to call him, but it's not his name. We would say that today it's a term of distinguishment. Maybe you could say. Thomas, to distinguish Jehovah God as from just the more generic, leave it alone type God. So, but and our term God comes from the German Gott, G-O-T. So through the Celtic, and it just means God, and all that meaning it can carry, and it should still be respectful. Yes. Okay, any other? And we could also, sometimes we would say, oh Lord, help me. That's fine too. Dear Lord. So, but that should be respectful also, the Lord above. And when we speak that we are addressing our Lord. So, okay, any other insights, comments wants to be made about this? Thank you for bringing that up, but that's true. How do we deal with all this stuff that's going on around us? It's very offensive sometimes when you hear people just constantly swearing and misusing God's name. It's very upsetting. Okay, any other comments? O kingdoms of the earth, sing to God. Sing praises to the Lord. To him who rides in the heavens, the ancient heavens, behold, he sends out his voice, his mighty voice. Ascribe power to God, whose majesty is over Israel, whose power is in the skies. Awesome is God from his sanctuary, the God of Israel. He is the one who gives power and strength to his people. Blessed be God. So again, awesome God. I guess there's still nothing almost more majestic or awe-inspiring than to see a real lightning thunderstorm. And although myself and I know Kayla and I, if we're in our bed at night and we hear the thunder, we take great comfort in that. It's very comforting to know that God is there, That's his power. Okay? Any comments? Psalm 69, Messianic Psalm. Save me, O God, from the waters have come up to my neck. And when it gets that deep, it's about time to cry out for help. About time, David. I think I'd have started a little earlier, but anyway, when it's up to my neck. I sink deep in mire where there is no foothold. I have come into deep waters, and the flood sweeps over me. I am weary with my crying out. My throat is parched. My eyes grow dim with waiting for my God. Well, sometimes he's a little bit impatient, David is, and sometimes maybe we get that way too. But I think he's going to come around and say, wait, we need to wait on God. So he goes on here in Psalm 69. As we're going back to this. Save me, O God, for the waters have come up to my neck, and I sink into the mire. The flood waters sweep over me. So we can imagine what it would be like. I don't know if anyone have ever come close to drowning. I've been in that situation, but it's scary. Let not those who hope in you be put to shame through me. O Lord of God, O Lord God of hosts, let not those who seek you be brought to dishonor through me, O God of Israel. Boy, that is a powerful statement right there. Don't let me cause shame. One of the most amazing stories, maybe you've heard this with me, but one of my professors at Harding was talking about when he went to school, getting his doctorate up in Indiana. And Indiana, there's a Hebrew Union University there. There was one of the most important and distinguished Jewish universities, Hebrew Union. And he was getting his doctorate in church studies. But anyway, the Hebrew Union University invited a very distinguished, well-known rabbi, scholar, to come and speak on some biblical Old Testament issues and whatever. And they invited these students from the Christian side, from the local Christian school. He was at the University of Indiana. So they went to hear him, this rabbi, speak. And then afterwards, this rabbi offered, questions, question time. And there were some questions. And finally, he said, one of the Christian students, I guess, trying to maybe, put him on the spot, said, Rabbi, said, isn't the real issue between Christians and Jews is that the Jews have refused to accept Christ, the Jews deny Christ? Isn't that the real root of the issue? And this rabbi sat and thought for a minute. He said, yes, he said, the Jews have rejected Christ. The Christians have disgraced him. And he said there was a dead silence. There wasn't anybody, none of the Christian students dared speak up. That's a powerful statement. Yeah, we've rejected Christ, but you've disgraced him. And we have. I taught history, I taught church history, and all through church history, Christians have done some heinous things in the name of Christ. You think, this is, we're supposed to be serving the Prince of Peace, and people have burned other Christians at the stake and done other horrible things in the name of Christ? This is a disgrace, brothers and sisters. So, he's praying here, don't let me be the one. Please don't let me be the one to bring shame upon your name. And that's something we need to think every day. That's part of our Christian witness. People are watching us. And if we show out on something, if we somehow show out in some way, we bring reproach upon the name of Christ. And that's not good. And we're told even in the Bible that it's better not to do that. So, okay, any comments or observations? For it is for your sake I have borne reproach, that dishonor has covered my face. I have become a stranger to my brothers and alien to my mother's sons. Zeal for your house has consumed me. The reproaches of those who reproach you have fallen upon me. Does that sound familiar? The zeal for your house has consumed me. Where does that come? Where do we find that later on? Pardon? Yeah, remember when Jesus was in the house and he was turning over the money, and his apostles said there, John 2:17, and his disciples remembered that it was written, zeal for your house will consume me. And remember, Jesus said, my Father's house is a house of prayer, not a house of commerce. It's so sad to see sometimes when we were in England with the Harding students, my wife and I, Kayla and I, we went to several of their big cathedrals in London. And of course, years ago, the state stopped supporting the English church directly like that. And so they have these huge cathedrals that have very few, I guess, attenders. Anyway. And we went in, I remember we went in one in Suffolk, the southern part of London. We went into this big cathedral. And all through the pews, they had stuff for sale. Tourist stuff. And I remember Ken and I just kind of thought, okay, we understand. It's kind of sad that turning the house of God into a house of commerce. Yeah, we need to be careful about too, yes.
And Paul quoted the second half of that verse
Okay,
in Romans 15,
okay.
verse 3. The reproaches.
Oh, yeah, the reproach, okay, yeah. Thank you. I'll come look at that, get that back on here. Yeah, we need to be careful ourselves. Not that the building is holy or anything, but how we use our activities here sometimes. When I wept and humbled my soul with fasting, it became my reproach. When I made sackcloth my clothing, I became a byword to them. I am the talk of those who sit in the gate, and the drunkards make songs about me. God, it's getting pretty low, you see. Remember, Jesus kind of said that too. He said, you complain about, I can't do anything right. You complain about if I come neither, fasting like John, you call me that I have a devil. Or if I come eating and drinking, then you say I'm a wine bibbler and a drunk. So Jesus said, nothing I can do can make you happy. So, but he's saying the same thing. He's getting pretty low when the drunkards make songs about me. But as for me, my prayers to you, O Lord, and there it is, as you're saying, David, in the capitals there, at an acceptable time, O God, in the abundance of your steadfast love, answer me in your saving faithfulness. Deliver me from sinking in the mire. Let me be delivered from my enemies, from the deep waters. Let not the flood sweep over me, or the deep waters swallow me up, or the pit close its mouth over me. Answer me, O Lord, for your steadfast love is good. According to your abundant mercy, turn to me. Hide not your face from your servant, for I'm in distress. Make haste to answer me. Draw near to my soul. Redeem me. Ransom me from my enemies, because of my enemies. You know my reproach and my shame and my dishonor. My foes are all known to you. Reproaches have broken my heart, so that I am in despair. I looked for pity, but there was none, for comforters, but I found none. Just like Jesus here, see, the Messiah. They gave me poison for food, and for my thirst they gave me sour wine to drink. So these are quoted in these places, and all four of the Gospels mention, especially the sour wine, and we've talked about that even before here, too. Then there is an imprecatory interlude. Remember, imprecatory, there's that word I keep trying to teach y'all, saying imprecatory, means cursing. It sounds better than saying cursing. Let their own table before them become a snare, and when they are at peace, let it become a trap. Let their eyes be darkened so that they cannot see. Make their loins tremble continually. Pour out your indignation upon them. Let your burning anger overtake them. May their camp be a desolation. Let no one dwell in their tents, for they persecute him whom you have struck down. They recount the pain of those you have wounded. Add to them punishment upon punishment. May they have no acquittal from you. Let them be blotted out of the book of the living. Let them not be enrolled among the righteous. So he's being pretty blunt about what he wants to happen to his enemies there. Take care of them, God. Well, then he gets through that kind of low period, and then he comes back. I will praise the name of God with song. I will magnify him with thanksgiving. This will please the Lord more than an ox or a bull with horns or hooves. Let heaven and earth praise him, the seas and everything that moves in them. For God will save Zion and build the cities of Judah, and people shall dwell there and possess it. Again, that he comes for that theme. This is a constant thing we'll come back to again. We've already talked about it in some detail. What God really wants, not just bulls and oxen. He wants thanksgiving. He wants true sacrifice from us, spiritual sacrifice. For it is for your sake I have borne reproach, that dishonor has covered my face. I have become a stranger to my brothers and alien to my mother's sons. And we've already talked about this verse, but I want to kind of unpack it in a different way here. I have become a stranger to my brothers and alien to my mother's sons. This is also messianic. In Matthew, it says, while Jesus was still speaking to the people, behold, his mother and his brothers stood outside asking to speak to him. And then in Matthew again, is not this the carpenter's son, they said? Is not Mary, his mother called Mary, and are not his brothers James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas? Mark, is this not the carpenter, the son of Mary, and the brother of James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us? Now, the term brother there has a broader meaning. Can have, some people say, well, no, of course the Catholic Church says, well, they're talking about cousins. Well, that's not really what it says. It says brothers, but it can mean half-brother. Or it can mean like brother, Brother Jim here, whatever. But the word sister translated there is specific. It means my sister. It doesn't mean anything else. That's what it means. So we know then that he had James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon, and he had sisters who, and of course, back then they didn't often name the women, but he had sisters. By the way, one of his brothers was named Judas. They believe he may be the one who wrote Jude. But they call it Jude because when the people were compiling the Bible and they had the original manuscript has Judas on it. But they didn't want a book of the Bible named Judas. So they shortened it to Jude. So that it wouldn't, they were trying to stop confusion, I guess you could say, which is nice. I can understand that. They did it with good reasons. Why is this so controversial? Because of the Catholic doctrine of the perpetual virginity of Mary. So as we said here, Greek adelphos, that's brothers, sisters, adelphe, but the sisters is more specific there. Adelphos may refer to a member of brotherhood. The other one is specific, own sister, as I just mentioned. That should have gone on here. The Second Council of Constantinople in 553 officially gave Mary the title Perpetual Virgin. In other words, they said she did not have any other children. Even though the scriptures are very specific about it, they said, well, no, they get around it in various ways because they say she was a perpetual virgin. 4 attributes which the Catholic Church invested Mary with. Mother of God. This is the term Theotokos in Greek. It was given in the Council of Ephesus in 431. Originally, it means the mother, the woman who was the mother of the Son who was God. But then the common people just changed it to Mother of God. Perpetual Virgin, we just mentioned. Immaculate Conception. Mary was born without the taint of original sin. Pope Pius the Ninth issued this proclamation in 1854, ex cathedra, making it an official Catholic doctrine. Mary was born without sin. And then the Assumption of Mary. Mary did not die. She was assumed or taken, hypothesized directly into heaven as Queen of Heaven. Pope Pius XII made this proclamation in 1950. So the Assumption of Mary. So these are 4 modern attributes that have been given to Mary. Mother of God, Perpetual Virgin, Immaculate Conception, and Assumption. And this is one of the reasons that these terms you see there, we saw that Jesus had 4 brothers and sisters. They don't like to talk about it. Okay, any questions? Yes, sir?
Paul, did the Orthodox Church follow this?
No. Some of it kind of, but not all of it, no. The earlier ones, the Theotokos, yes, that was before the split. But the rest of it coming, after the split between the Greek Orthodox and they don't take what the Pope has to say there, no. But they would see Mary as the Mother of God. That's the common uses of it, yes. Okay, anything else? That's a good question. Good. Anything else? So, you will see these pictures and whatever. And that's why recently we have seen efforts made to elevate. They call her Queen of Heaven. Well, if she's Queen of Heaven and God is King of Heaven, what does that make her? And remember I said Pope John Paul II wanted to proclaim her the co-redemptrix, equal to Jesus in salvation, that you could pray to her to be saved just as well as you could pray to Jesus to be saved. He never did make it official. He never spoke ex cathedra from the chair about that. But he really wanted that because he made a public statement that he believed that Mary had saved him and not Jesus. Okay, any last questions, comments?
Last year, when you were teaching a class on Christianity or history, whatever it was, you were talking about people in mosque, they would translate the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it amazing that with all of this translation, and it's at K4, well, then we got an English copy of the Bible. But I find it amazing that with all of these translations that we have, like there's a 1950 Assumption of Mary. Mary did not die but was taken directly to heaven. Where in the world is that documented, and
It's nowhere. I mean, this is just ideas they come up with that they are trying to elevate Mary and I mean, going all the way back. I mean, it's just stuff that humans, this is what happens when human beings try to take over and improve upon the Bible. Yeah. It's just,
They're trying to close loopholes in their doctrine.
that's right. They're trying to, good point. They're looking for loopholes, closing loopholes. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that always comes to me when it says, by no other name are we saved than that name which is given, which is Jesus Christ. How do you get around that? By no other name is salvation except through Jesus Christ. And yet they have a myriad group of saints out here you can pray to.
God has sent them a great delusion.
A great delusion.
Somehow have
Yeah. Like I said, when we were in Rome, I went through the phone book, and there were over 300 congregations or churches listed. 2 were dedicated to Jesus Christ. Everything else was saint this or Mary this, saint this, Mary this, saint this, Mary. 2, I found 2. Over 300, I found 2 that had a church dedicated to Jesus. Well, that was the bell. Thank you all so much. God bless you. Take care. Hope to see you again next week.
Remember what I was going to ask you? Do the Muslims acknowledge Abraham?
Oh, yes, that was their father.
I know that, but I wonder because they're so busy with Mohammed.
Oh, yeah, they make a big deal out of Abraham. That they're sons of Abraham, just like the Jews. Yeah.
Well, I know that Abraham he messed up. That's what he did.
Trying to help